What if your child or your teenager isn't rude? They're not lazy, they're not dramatic. What if they're being anxious? And what if that anxiety doesn't look like fear at all? Because that's one thing that us parents don't realize is that teenage anxiety doesn't look like panic attacks. It looks like anger, perfectionism, or shutting you out. So today I want to talk about what's really going on under the surface, and one thing that we can say that changes everything immediately. So when we think of anxiety, we think of nerves, shaking, tears, fear. But in teenagers, anxiety often wears a mask. And one of these three most common masks are anxiety and anger, perfectionism, and withdrawal. So, first of all, I'm going to share one of JCF's treasures, which is a JCF mood map. And as you can see here, the mood map is a mixture of two things and measures two things: how much or how little energy we've got and how we're feeling in that moment. Are we feeling really, really, really positive? Are we there on the bright side of the map, like where it's orange, where it's yellow or green? Or are we feeling really, really negative or rubbish on the negative side of the map? And it's these two things, like how much or how little energy we've got and how we're feeling in that moment, like low mood or high mood, that gives us the mood in the moment. And so looking at the mood map, and you can see here that mood is up there in the red. We'll say anxiety is up there in the red, and it's pretty high energy and it's a negative mood. So let's just look. I mean, when you see, for example, it's also like high energy and negative mood. We can put it over here. And over here, we've got the neurotransmitter or the hormone adrenaline that's reigning. So when we're in this mood state, when we're overwhelmed, we've got anxiety, we're anger, this is where we are on the mood map. And so let's talk about anger. So anger has got much more energy than anxiety. There's explosive reactions, there's snapping, there's door slamming. Why are you always on my case? And then usually underneath anger is the fear of failing, the fear of disappointing you, and the fear of not being enough. And a lot of young people that we're mentoring, they are afraid of disappointing their parents. They'll follow certain options and subjects because their parents want them to do it, and they don't want to say no because they don't want to disappoint them. And all of this fear, um, the anger feels really, really powerful. And then when the anger is more powerful and it reigns, then the anxiety is less vulnerable. And then so the nervous system chooses the power of anger. So let's go on to the second one. The second one is perfectionism. And this happens a lot. This is like when you've got a young person that's really high achieving, they're a straight A student, they're the captain of the football teams or the sports teams, they're the mature one. They're the ones that look fine. And inside, they're terrified of making a mistake. So perfectionism is often anxiety in disguise. And it often says that if I control everything, then maybe nothing will go wrong. And these teens really cause trouble. So they're really checked on. And they're carrying that enormous internal pressure. And so when we look at the mood map here, and we can see again, like in the top corner, we've got the top corner here, the red side, and like adrenaline is towards, they have stepped into perfectionism. One young student, she did her homework but forgot to bring it into school. She got a detention, and from that time she just went just a bit overboard. She was checking her bag of a night time for the next day to make sure that all her homework was there, everything was there that she needed, and she just got really upset about things much more easier, and she was having panic attacks. And after seeing our mentor, and didn't even see our mentor more than 5 times, she realized what was going on, and she was able to bring down her mood and start managing her mood and start seeing that the anxiety It was the perfectionism on, and in fact was stopping her from getting anxious. So she was checking and checking and checking, but in the long term, she was in that high energy, low mood state, and she was able to overcome that and stop having her panic attacks. So now we've talked about two ways that anxiety can show itself: through anger and through being perfect. And so the third one, which is the one that can be most disturbing and the one that scares us parents the most, is withdrawal. So when we've got young people, they're staying in their room, they've got their headphones constantly on, and they're the ones that say, I'm fine, the ones that they want to talk. And so this withdrawal is like the nervous system is saying, I'm overwhelmed and I don't have the energy to explain what's happening. And it isn't always rebellion, and it's often like an emotional overload. So here's the part that will surprise you most, is that the most anxious teens are often the most high functioning, because they're the ones that get the good grades, they show up to school, they smile in public, they seem quite together. And because they're coping, we just assume that everything's so fine and they're doing okay. And high function anxiety often looks like this internally, like the thought, if I stop performing, maybe they'll see that I'm not enough. I can't mess this up. I've only got one chance. And I shouldn't really be feeling this way. Or I don't want to be ungrateful. Like, other people have got it worse than me. And these teens, they don't collapse, they carry. And quite frankly, all of this and being responsible and carrying can be really, really exhausting for them. And that's why emotional literacy matters. And so in our mood map work, we help people, our young people, move behind and look beyond what they're saying, like I'm fine, or stressed, or being angry, and they begin to identify, like, being when they're overwhelmed, when they're insecure, when they're pressured, when they're afraid or disappointed and lonely. Because once they name what it is behind all of that, then they can start regulating. And here at Julian Campbell Foundation, we use the mood maps, and our mood mentors use the mood maps with our young people. Once they can identify where they are in the mood map and then how they got to be like that, what's behind, then we can start helping them develop a toolbox of activities and things they can do to regulate their mood. And, so here's the practical part. So, so once you've got, like, once you're speaking with your teen, and once they start opening up and you're asking open questions, then and then they start listening and talking, this is something that you can do. So let's look at the practical part. So when your teen snaps or shuts down or spirals out of a really seemingly small mistake, instead of saying, like, calm down, you're overreacting, or asking kind of open or closed questions, or even asking, like, why are you being like this? Or, you could say, like, oh, I wonder if there's something that's going on with you right now. There's really something quite big inside. And, like, if you don't have the words to explain it, I'm here and I'm ready when you do. And the reason why this works is that it removes the pressure, because sometimes when young people are feeling things, they can't really articulate what it is that's happening, and they can't really speak. Because don't forget, for the greater time, when they're up there in the red and they've got the adrenaline that's raining and coursing through the veins, this is a flight and fright hormone. It's not something that they can sit down and start articulating what's happening and why, and what's wrong and what they can do about it. So saying to them at that time, like, I'm here when you're ready, you don't have to explain it, and I can see there's something there right now, it removes the pressure. It names it without accusing, and it communicates to the young person that they're safe. It gives them back control. And it, and also as well for an anxious nervous system, because don't forget they're up there in the red, and it doesn't, and when you're up there in the reds, it doesn't respond well to interrogation. It responds to safety. So then it starts coming down. So you're not fixing, you're not forcing, you're not signaling. You're saying, like, I can handle your feelings, and that changes everything. And for us as adults, and we're there and we're co-regulating. When I say co-regulating, when we're calm and we're being the change we want to see, like the young people around us copy from us and start following the way that what we're saying and how we're behaving. So teen anxiety is not defiance, is not weakness, is not drama. It's the nervous system's way of trying to cope in a world, in a fast paced world that's fast, loud, and demanding. And when we look behind all of that, we can really meet the need. And when we meet the need and we meet it halfway, we reduce anxiety. And this is how we empower our youth. This is how we empower our future. So thank you for watching this video. So if you have found this useful, please do share it with another comment, and please do tell me, like, what mask do you see the most? Is it anger? Is it perfectionism? Or is it withdrawal? Because I read every comment. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to Inside the Teenage Mind, because next week we're talking about something that every parent misinterprets and why pushing for answers makes things worse. So thank you for watching this video, and we'll see you there.